Today, this presentation will cover electronic correspondence, incoming letters, outgoing letters, macros, and letterheads in Genie. During the webinar, please feel free to use the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen there to send through questions as you think of them. Towards the end of the session, we're going to have a dedicated section to answer as many questions as we can. I would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians on the land on which we stand. Here in Boorloo, Perth, this is the Whadjuk people. I also pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging. So, why consider using electronic correspondence? First off, security. Emails are unencrypted, so using email to send confidential patient data leaves yourself open to the theft of that personal information. Untrusted third parties may hack your email account, the recipient's email, or intercept the email message and its content in transit. So therefore, using electronic correspondence gives you peace of mind with all of that encryption built in. This means you're doing your best to keep patient details and information about their conditions safe, secure, and private. Using electronic correspondence is the fastest way to get your letter to the intended recipients. Printing and posting the letter involves costs and is time-consuming. You also need to rely on the postal service to get that letter safely delivered to the recipient. Faxing is outdated and requires manual handling also. Electronic correspondence means that the letter can be sent from the practice and received by the recipients before the kettle is boiled for your afternoon cuppa. Definitely an advantage there. It's convenient. Save yourself those mundane jobs of folding letters, stamping, and venturing out to find a place to post them. Send them instantly whilst you're at your desk instead. And integration. Mail received at the practice has to be opened, read, scanned, and linked into the patient's file. If you're using electronic correspondence, the incoming letters are ready and waiting to be linked to the patient, and they can be marked for review by the practitioner if there is a triage process in place. And finally, the benefits of functionality. Streamline your workflows in Genie. With incoming and outgoing correspondence areas, there are shortcuts to use that can perform a range of tasks related to improving and streamlining patient care. We are going to go through some of those today. So let's have a look at how a proficient workflow can exist. In this example, a practitioner views their incoming letters within Genie. The practitioner determines that this new patient referral is suitable and sends a task to the receptionist to organise an appointment. Reception contacts the patient offering the next available appointment, and it's a smooth and seamless operation. You can even cut out that middle step if no triaging of referrals is required. This is a great way to ensure that incoming referrals are actioned promptly and your appointment book is filled. There are 3 major electronic correspondence providers available here in Australia. We recommend that you perform your own research based on your top referring doctors. Find out who they are using as their preferred third-party provider. Often, different locations in Australia use different programs, and it's not uncommon to use multiple third-party providers. Essentially, it's all about getting the patient information to that referring doctor or sending an onward referral in the most secure and time-conscious manner. So on to the details. Firstly, we're going to have a look at incoming correspondence in Genie. Navigate to the Open menu and select Incoming Letters. This window will show you the letters that you have received from your third-party providers. Here you have a drop-down list to refine to a specific practitioner receiving the letter. And there is also a filter to show you either all letters, linked letters, or the unlinked letters. By default, this list is filtered to your unlinked letters, allowing you to focus on what needs actioning first. To begin reviewing the letter contents, double-click a row to open the letter. Here on the top left, we have patient details received from the sender, and next to it, if these details are a match to a current patient in your database. If you wish to access the clinical file, the demographics window of the patient, or print a copy of the letter, these shortcuts are available. You can also create a task or create a new recall for the patient without leaving this incoming letter window. Important thing is to first determine what action you wish to take, if any, prior to linking the letter to the patient. Once you have the correct patient selected and taken any required actions, the letter can be linked to the patient file by clicking this link icon. Once linked, Genie automatically recognises you are done with this letter and will immediately display the next available letter to be actioned. With all these features provided, using incoming correspondence in Genie is a very streamlined way to process received referrals into the practice. Outgoing letters. So these are letters regarding patients that are prepared at the practice and sent out to other practitioners. We will be focusing specifically on the typing and sending of these letters. However, you will know that the letter templates themselves often play a key role in efficient letter creation. We do have a dedicated section on our knowledge base that covers template creation, as well as our previous Lunch and Learn on paperwork optimization. Hot tip, did you know that all of our previous Lunch and Learn recordings are available on the Genie Solutions YouTube channel? You should check them out. Alternatively, we're also always happy to assist with one-to-one training if you feel like you could benefit from personalised assistance. The link to book-tailored learning can be found on our Genie Solutions website. So, to set up your practice for success using electronic correspondence for your outgoing letters, the first step is to get that foundation right. This step involves making sure that your recipients have their preferred method of communication set. One way to access the recipient information is to go via the address book. To get there, click on the Open menu and then select your address book option. In the window shown, you search for the relevant provider that you wish to search for. From the listed results, click into the respective provider. You'll be presented with the correspondence and details window, and in the correspondence area, this is where you can select the preferred method of communication for the practitioner. This list contains options like mail, fax, third-party correspondence providers. So you'll be choosing the selected one for that recipient. Selecting their preferred method of communication here flows into your outgoing correspondence area and streamlines that process. If the recipients are using electronic correspondence, make sure you remember to input their relevant EDI or ID against their respective carrier. In this example, we have an Argus preferred recipient, and their Argus Connect ID is entered in to the record. It's also important for you to tick Include PDF in letters. This ensures that the letter will be received exactly as it's shown in Genie, including PDF content such as logos. If it's not ticked, it doesn't matter. The content of the letter is sent as plain text. The recipients are always going to receive the content of that particular letter. If you do have logos and content embedded into your letters, and the next part of that is the recipients being capable of receiving that PDF content. So if they are Genie or Gen 2 users, you can be assured that the PDF content will be received at the other end. However, other software may not have the same types of capabilities. So that was getting ready to send electronic correspondence. Let's have a look at creating those letters and sending them off. If you are a practitioner who uses Dragon Medical One to type your own letters, or if you're a typist completing dictation, you'll need to open a letter for the patient. This can be managed from the appointment book or within the clinical window of the patient. In either case, you can do this by clicking on the red quill icon. Once you are in your letter template, the one you wish to use, you can go ahead and click into this letter body and type the letter. Once that letter has been typed and you are confident the letter is ready to send, you will check the review tick box at the top of the page. Genie has an inbuilt system for easy reviewing and sending of all of those freshly typed letters. The first step is to access the Review Correspondence window. To get there, select the Open menu and then Outgoing Letters. Alternatively, you can select the icon of the eye with the red quill on the right of your icon bank on the left of your Genie appointment book. Review Correspondence area, there is a drop-down list available. And from here, you can easily navigate to the particular area you wish to action. There are options to review correspondence, print your review correspondence, and send letters via third party, which means sending by the preferred electronic correspondence carrier. To access a letter from the list, you will double-click the record. This will take you back into that same letter template. Changes can be made to the letter at this point by updating the text within that letter body. If the recipient has the third-party carrier selected, the Send via third-party checkbox will be ticked. This is a flow-on effect from your preparations that you completed earlier. The next step, therefore, is to simply mark the letter as ready to send. And there will also be the option on the CC panel on the left-hand side for CC recipients to have send marked for them also. We've looked at how to send letters, but how can you make creating your letters quick and easy? One tool that can help speed up this process is the use of macros. These allow you to either shortcut typing regularly used words or to enter large amounts of info with just a few keystrokes. Before you create a macro though, you do need to be careful that you're not using words that you would be typing and want to stay the same. For instance, making it as a shortcut to expand into info technology You would end up causing more problems than it solves, because every time you type the word it would be expanding out using the macro. I'm sure a few of you in practices out there have seen that happen and have been wondering why, when you type a particular word, it expands out to something completely different. The macros is the key to that, so it's a good one to review at your practice if that's happening. If you do want to use a common word, you can get around this by putting a dot in front of the letters. So, how do you add a new macro? You can add it in any letter through the macros menu at the top of the page. Within the consultation window, you can click the macros button at the bottom of the screen, or alternatively, you can also add it from the procedures area using the macro button at the bottom of the procedure window. Whichever way you choose, when you click the menu, you go into your edit macros and it will select and then select add at the bottom of the page. At the top of this window, type in the shorthand that you want to use. In this example, our macro code is 6WKS. In the macro content area, you can then type all of the text that you'd like to drop in whenever that shorthand is entered. This can be made up of paragraphs of text, or you can just simply type in a shortcut code to expand a particular term that you commonly use. Finally, in this bottom section, and this is an important one, you can choose whether you want the macro to be available just to one user or to everyone within the practice. The next most common area we see macros used is in your SMS templates. While you can set up your automatic appointment reminders, you may also want to have other SMS templates that you use in more of an ad hoc fashion. This could be an SMS to remind people to bring their referrals. It could be a message for when you receive results to ask a patient to call and book in an appointment. Or it could be just to add some extra info, such as that you've moved clinics or they need to park in a different area. To use macros in your SMSs, when you create an SMS for the patient, you can click on the right-hand side and select the drop-down and choose the macro you would like, or type your macro text in like you would in the box followed by a space. All of the macros that you've added to the macros area will be available for use here. Some practices like to specifically identify their SMS macros by having SMS at the start of their macro code. The most important things when establishing your practice brand is being able to have a consistent, identifiable letterhead on all of your correspondence. The last thing you want to do, though, is waste time setting it up again every single time you create a new letter template. So there are two ways to avoid this. The first is having your letterhead set up within Genie so that you can use the expression to drop it in. And the other is by duplicating existing letter templates. So let's have a look at how each of these options work. Letterheads are available to be added via the File, Practice Preferences, Practice Letterhead option. And that's the screen that we're looking at now. If you tick the Use Individual Letterheads, then this will mean that each practitioner can set up their own letterhead to use. Letterheads can include logos or artwork in picture file, and that means no PDFs. It has to be a picture file such as a JPEG or TIFF. Once you've moved to version 10, you might have already found there's a lot more flexibility on how you lay out the objects than there was previously in version 9. To add your letterhead to a template, ensure the header is visible. Place your cursor within and double-click your letterhead at the bottom of the expressions list on the left. If you're on version 10, then adding the letterhead in this way will mean that any changes made to the letterhead are saved in your practice preferences, will automatically update on your letter templates next time you use them, but not on previously created letters. The other way to keep all of your letterheads and the rest of your letter formatting consistent is by spending time to perfect your first template and duplicating it when you create new templates. To duplicate a golden sheet template, just click on it to select the template, and on the left-hand panel, choose Duplicate. To duplicate a red quill template, select New Template from the menu drop-down at the top. Then select Duplicate and choose which template you would like to duplicate from for your new letter template. Often we see at practices a dedicated letterhead template to use in these situations. It's a really good shortcut and easy way to have that template ready and available, and then for you to add the required fields for the new letter template. Our knowledge base has a lot of resources on letters and letterhead creation, and we can always provide tailored learning to help you get them set up. I'll now hand over to Neve, our Director of Product Design and Strategy, to tell you a little bit about one of our most recent feature releases.
Thank you, Fiona, and hi everyone. My name is Neve and I'm the Director of Product Strategy and Design here at Genie, as Fiona mentioned. And I'm really excited to chat to you today about a new feature called e-bookings. So over the last 18 months, Fiona, if you don't mind maybe clicking down. Yeah, great. We've been collaborating with Healthscope to develop a digital procedure booking workflow that's really tightly integrated into Genie and Gen 2 and is really designed to save time when booking theatre at either Healthscope or ACHA hospitals. And this new workflow is what we're calling e-bookings. The new workflow is free for all Genie and Gen 2 practices. And for many practices, it's actually available right now for you to start using if you do operate at either a Healthscope or an ACHA hospital. To tell you a little bit more about e-bookings, if you click to the next slide, Fiona, e-bookings takes the patient and the procedure information that you've already entered into Genie in your usual way in the demographics area, in the clinical file, or in the procedure record, and shares this across to Healthscope or your local ACHA hospital electronically. So what this means is it's actually removed the need for sending any draft lists, and also allows you to upload the consent form for the patient's procedure at the time of doing this booking. And what we're finding is it's massively reducing the incidences where patient paperwork is going missing. So we've been running a pilot program since about May at the Gold Coast Private Hospital for Healthscope. And then since September time, we've been doing the national rollout of e-bookings in stages. During this time, we've had a number of Genie and Gen 2 practices use e-bookings and send over 2,000 hospital bookings during this program. And some of the key benefits that they're seeing is just significantly improved practice efficiency. And this is due to the reduced admin time for managing bookings. As I mentioned, there's no more draft theatre lists, great reduction in the volume of calls and emails that practices are having to send over and back to the bookings teams. Lost consent forms and other documentation are being avoided because the booking and the consent information is actually uploaded at the time of the consult or when the booking is made with the patient, and not months later when the procedure might actually be happening. Another great feature of e-bookings is that once you've actually done the e-booking, you can see the status of that booking within Genie. So we've added a new e-bookings theatre list, which is available through the appointments menu. And in there, you can see the status and if you need to take any action. So it's real-time feedback coming from the HealthScope bookings team. If there any action is required on your booking, and you're able to take that well ahead of when that procedure might actually be occurring. We're also hearing that patient experiences are greatly improved. Because the booking goes through to the hospital at the time it's actually booked for the patient, what's happening is the hospital is now sending a message to the patient to confirm that their booking has been received. So this means that patients are not left wondering, you know, what's happening with their procedure? Is their procedure going ahead? It also means there's an opportunity to identify issues like health fund eligibility early. And what we're seeing is this is greatly reducing the last minute cancellations that can sometimes happen for patients when these issues are identified in just the last couple of days before a patient's procedure. So for many of you, you're probably wondering, that sounds great. How do I get my hands on e-bookings? Well, for Genie customers, e-bookings is already available for those of you that are on version 10.2.3 and above. If you're not on version 10.2 or 3 and later, then you would need to upgrade to the latest version of Genie. The instructions on how to upgrade from either version 9 or version 10 are available on our knowledge base. What happens then as we hit every stage for hospitals going live over the next coming weeks, we will be emailing Genie practices that are associated or that we know to be booking procedures at that hospital to let them know that e-bookings is going live. If for some reason though you're operating at a hospital and you haven't received that communication, please reach out to us and we'll make sure that you get that communication that e-bookings is now available. And then the final step, once it is available, is just a quick execute command to be run within Genie to actually activate that for your practice. So it's a really exciting step forward. It's an absolute game changer with regards to driving more efficiency in how procedures are managed and really improving the experience for you guys within the practice and improving the experience for the patients as well. If you clicked it, thank you, Fiona. So just to give you guys an idea of launch dates. So as I mentioned, we ran our pilot since May at the Gold Coast Private Hospital, but we did a full rollout there in September. Then across October, we've gone live at Brisbane Private, Peninsula, Tweed, and Sunnybank. Last week, we went live at Darwin Private Hospital, Mount, Ashford, Flinders, and the Memorial. This week, we've gone live at National Capital, Campbelltown, Hunter Valley, and Nepean. Next week for us, it's Newcastle, Norwest, Prince of Wales, and Sydney Southwest. And then the 13th of November, it will be Hobart, North Park, and Ringwood. And then the final stage is the 20th of November, and that's Holmesglen, Melbourne, Knox, John Faulkner, and Northern Beaches in New South Wales. So lots of hospitals are already live, lots of Genie practices are already using it and really gaining a lot of benefit. As I said, it's completely free to use and you can just switch it on and start using it if you do book theatre within HealthScope hospitals.